I had come to a place where, like, mentally I loved myself fully. But what was on the inside was not being reflected on the outside. And I had so much pain, and I was bloated, and I remember one week I was on the couch for a whole week because I was in so much pain. And my best friend came home, and she, like, walked in and was like, "Oh, honey." And I had, like, a bag of cookies, and I was just eating the cookies. And that's when I reached out and said, "Hey, what do you got for me next?" Because I can do all the things now. Like, I'm not held back by the pain or the fatigue. Things are way better than they've ever been in my entire life. I have more energy than I did as a high schooler. Oh, I see. Oh, Lisa. Hi, Lisa. Look at all the people.
Yeah. So, how are you doing, Jenifer?
Me? I'm great. I did a mile swim today. I'm in the sunshine. My time was faster on the swim. I killed it. It was great. I feel amazing.
I love it.
Right?
I love it. Now you're getting blown by the wind.
Yes. So great. I need, like, a photographer. It's like the perfect photo shoot.
I'm not doing a fashion shoot here.
Right?
I just have my own personal wind.
It's right. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Lisa. Oh, you got somebody from Italy. It's 1 a.m. that time.
Wow. Hey, Anthony. Oh, my gosh. All the people.
So, cool. Swimming. I love it. Swimming,
Right?
dancing, all the things. We'll get into that more in a
Yeah.
minute. I just finished workout myself
Nice.
at the gym, getting ready for gym rat.
Yes. Do it.
So I wanted to dive in here without too much beating around the bush because I
Let's
want
do
to hear
it.
your whole story.
Yeah.
So just to kick it off, just tell everyone a little bit about, we shared in your post a little bit about what things were like, up until last year, but talk us through a little more details of what was your experience like when you first talked to me last summer and said, hey, I got some things I want to work on. What was the experience of that like? The issues you were dealing with, not me.
Yeah, okay. I was like, which direction are we going? So I actually have a long history of chronic fatigue and chronic pain. I've been battling it for years, all the way back to when I was living in Africa, and was so sick, like couldn't get out of bed. And about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, it kind of hit that again. Like I could feel my body going back that direction, where it was just shutting down. That's when we first reached out to you in April, and I did that Joe Kelly program. And then when I finished that, I just realized, like, there's more work to do. And that's when I reached out and said, "Hey, what do you got for me next?" And by that point, I had come to a place where, like, mentally I loved myself fully. But what was on the inside was not being reflected on the outside. And I had so much pain, and I was bloated, and I remember one week I was on the couch for a whole week because I was in so much pain. And my best friend came home, and she, like, walked in and was like, "Oh, honey." And I had, like, a bag of cookies, and I was just eating the cookies. And I was emotionally, like, eating. And I was just a mess. I was an absolute mess. And we started talking about what my goals were, and the next goal for me was, I want to take care of my body. I want to figure out what's going on with this chronic pain. I want to figure out with the fatigue. I want more energy. I want my life back. I don't want my life back. I want it better than I had it even before. And that's kind of where I'm at today. Like, things are way better than they've ever been in my entire life. I have more energy than I did as a high schooler, which I think is saying something. I'm 32, like, and I'm all like, "Let's go, people."
Hello.
Yeah, everyone's like, where is this energy coming from? And I'm like, it's just there. It's just in me now.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, um, how and I want to get into the progression from there
Sure.
in a minute,
Yeah.
but tell me a little bit about, because I think as we've talked about, sometimes it's easy to forget
Oh my gosh.
our
Yeah.
old problems and focus on our current problems. So
Yes.
just go back for a moment here and
Yeah.
tell me, like, what was the experience of all those problems you're talking about? How did it impact your life? How did it affect you being who you want to be and doing what you want to do?
I would get flattened. Like I would want to go do something, like go do a hike, go spend time with friends. I would want to just hang out in the house with the people I lived with. And instead, I would find myself curled up in bed, like either in pain or so exhausted just from doing something like walking or a workout. There were days where I would go to the gym, I would work out, and I would come home and I would have to crash hard because I was just so done. And it wasn't even that much of a workout.
Mm-hmm.
And so it just like, it stopped everything. I couldn't move. It was like not being able to move. And I knew there was more that I wanted out of life, out of my life. I knew there was more inside of me. I just didn't know how to get it out. And I just didn't know how to recover from all of these chronic things that no one really had any answers for.
Yeah, yeah. I can remember when I was in my 20s having, doing things like, I don't know, climb up something with some friends, just like
Yeah.
on spur of the moment, or do a few push-ups because someone challenged me to it or whatever. And then like a week later, my arms would still be killing me.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'd be like, why did I do that? Why did I, use my body? Can't use my body. I gotta remember not to use my body because it hurts too much.
Yeah, yeah. I would go on hikes because Arizona is so big with the mountains around here. I would go on hikes with friends. Every 10 minutes, I would have to be like, can we stop for a second? Like, I need to catch my breath. And it's not like we've got a lot of elevation where I live. And so hikes that would take, my friend Bridget, she hikes all the time. A hike that would take her maybe an hour would take us 3 because I had to stop all the time. And I'm so thankful for the friends who were gracious enough to like still have me come with them, and they would just prepare, okay, it's going to take twice as long, maybe longer. But they were so supportive in helping me do the things I wanted to do. I just didn't have the energy to do it.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that they were understanding like that. I don't think I was able to let people in with my situation that way, and so a lot of times I just have to not do things because, well, it's gonna hurt too much and I have to be too slow, and so I just can't participate in social things. That are active.
I would always use the excuse like, I'm so wiped from work, or like like you can, because you don't want to tell everyone like, hey, I'm in so much pain. I literally am like on the floor crying right now.
Right.
Like there were days where I remember, this was even before that, I had to text my roommate and say, I'm on the floor. I cannot get up. I need you to come help me. Because I couldn't move. That's how bad the pain was.
And I think as a woman, it tends to be easier to ask for help. It still is hard.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it tends to be easier as a guy. It's I think more embarrassing to feel weak, and so like I just I know my experience was like I just didn't want to talk about it or share about anything, and sometimes we don't ask for help. We don't get help because it's like I don't even want to look at this. It's too embarrassing to be this pathetic or weak or a mess, and so it's too scary to talk about. I'm just going to pretend it's not there or just ignore it.
Yeah. Well, and I'm in my 30s. Like, what 30-year-old is in so much pain she can't get out of bed? Like, I don't know many people like that, or if they are like that, no one's talking about it. So I didn't feel safe to talk about it either.
Yeah, and I think too, there's a lot of conditions that that severe, life-threatening in a hospital thing that are still very debilitating.
Yeah.
But because, you know, you don't have cancer and you don't get the cancer sympathy card, like you're like, well, what's wrong with you? And it's like, well, it's hard to explain, and like my doctor doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, just, you know, push through it or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. But you can't. Like,
you can't.
There's no way to push through it at that point. And when you have even doctors telling you your lab work is fine, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, let's go to the next phase.
Yeah.
So, tell me about now. Like, what has changed? What can you do now that you know? Tell me more about what you're doing now that you couldn't before. How has it affected your life with your health?
Yeah.
Specifically.
So many things. I'm just like, where do I start? Because I can do all the things now. Like, I'm not held back by the pain or the fatigue. I'm not 100% yet. I'm kind of at 90 probably, I would say. But when I have those moments, I now have the tools to know, like, oh, this is like what's happening, and let me either reach out to someone and like get help with like figuring out what I need to do to take care of myself, or I already know what to do. But when it comes to like actually doing things, I'm hiking and I'm keeping up with everybody. I'm a dancer now. Like, I've always wanted to dance. 4-year-old me would watch Fred Astaire videos nonstop. It was kind of annoying how much I would watch it. And now I'm like on the dance floor because I've got the energy, and I'm dancing 4 or 5 hours a night. And we're talking like not a lot of breaks.
Right. Right.
And I'm,
let's just, whoa, let's just slow down there.
No,
4 or 5 hours nonstop dancing.
Yeah.
And before you had to take a break from walking.
Yeah, exactly. And hiking, like simple things I had to take. Now I'm going out. I mean, I went out last night. Normally I don't have Friday night off. I went out last night. I had a blast for like 3 hours of dancing, and I was dancing a lot. And it's the slow songs, and it's the fast songs, and it's dancing with people I've never danced with before who are very good dancers and making me a better dancer. And I will end up doing things like my body will move on the dance floor in ways I didn't know was possible. I couldn't have done that 6 months ago. There's no way at all. But now I have the energy and the flexibility, and I'm not in my head so much, because that's the thing for me, that this is not just about like losing the weight. It's about being inside of my head. I'm not inside my head anymore. I can literally just go with the flow. And then it goes with swimming too. Like today I did a mile swim and I knocked 5 minutes off my time. And I haven't been swimming for about a week because I needed to take a little bit of a break. And here I am back, knocked 5 minutes off a 1 mile swim. That's a big deal. And doing that to like a mile once a week, mile and a half twice a week. And then I did 2 months about a month and a half ago. I did 2 miles a couple months ago, which was really a little bit much. Like, I'm still learning because I have all this energy. I just want to like go. So I'm still learning when to like take a step back. And that's when I'll message you and be like, here's what I did today. And you're like, hey, like maybe like let's just back off a little bit.
Right.
which I realized through working with you and just being open and honest about where I'm at, is that one, I need someone that I can be open and honest with where I'm at, with physically, emotionally, mentally. And then 2, I need to be real and say like, this is what I did today. Here's how I'm feeling now. I think I overdid it. But like, I need help figuring out how to not overdo it. And so having somebody who, I know I jumped a little bit, but like having somebody who's been like, hey, like, I'm really proud of you for swimming 2 miles. Like, that's what you said. I'm proud of you. Good job. Let's not do that again for a while. And let's build up, because again, it goes back to, I've got all of this energy and I'm learning now healthy outlets of where to put it and when to put it there and what that looks like.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can relate a little bit in like when I started working out, and especially like when there was phases like for the film where I was working
Yeah.
out a lot more. People started complaining that I was hurting their hands when I would shake hands with people. They'd be like,
Right.
"Whoa, easy, tiger,"
Right.
because it's like you're not used to all this newfound strength, and you got to
Yeah.
like adjust to this new body that you have
Yeah. Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
to really have like a new machinery almost.
Yeah, well, and
Um,
even on the dance floor, like if a song is really fast, I want to like go with it. But I'm learning it's actually better to slow it down because I can listen better to the person leading me, and also it ends up looking a lot better.
mhm,
The people who you watch when they're dancing and you think they're going super fast, they're actually not. It feels painfully slow to them. Um,
mhm,
but by slowing it down, I'm using my energy better in a better way. And I'm redirecting it correctly. And I'm not doing it in a physical way. It's also going to my mind. I'm
mhm.
using mental energy when I do that. So that has been really cool too.
Yeah, there's so much about finesse,
Mm-hmm.
balance, and
Mm-hmm.
conservation too
Yeah.
with all of that.
Yeah.
Um, I want to talk about the journey and like what
Mm-hmm.
it was like for
Yeah.
you and the coaching the program and all that. But um, I want to hear a little bit about your perspective on the whole. You know, you alluded to it a little bit about self-love and
Yeah.
um, you know, I'm going to say this because it's a little awkward to say it about yourself, but you have really dramatically, like I want to say blossomed or, come out,
Yeah.
you know, like you was talking about like what's inside being expressed on the outside. Like
Yeah.
it's really, really evident the shift. Like even right now, like you are so radiant and alive and beautiful, like in much greater capacity than you were a year ago, and it's
Yeah.
so obvious. Like the shift is so dramatic, and you experience it differently too. It's not just how
Mm-hmm.
you look, like it's how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but there's a lot. I think there's a lot of like I want to call it toxic normalization of dysfunction
Mm,
in our
yeah.
society to try to make people feel better because they have such poor self-esteem.
Yeah.
Okay? And they think that they're being loving to people by saying, "Oh, whatever you are is great,"
Yeah.
and it's hurting people because you're robbing people of the motivation and the hope and the value of taking
Absolutely.
care of themselves and being how they were created to be.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about this distinction between, you know, not shaming, not doing it out of shame that you're a bad person because you're a mess physically or just not
Yeah.
healthy physically, and the value and the proper context of how you see yourself now in having improved and grown and really come to more into fruition of like who you want to be.
Yeah. Um, I think I've always been the kind of person who wanted to grow and learn more and develop myself, body, mind, soul, spirit, all of it. But I had those excuses like I'm tired or I come from this kind of a family background or all the things. Um, and for me, I think one of the biggest ways that helped me shift the mindset that I'm capable of more was surrounding myself with people who believed more in me, who I trusted. So that for me, that was you. That was my best friend. That was a couple other very key people, and having them call me on it and saying like, "You say you want more. What are you doing? Like, what are you doing to get more? Like, you say this is inside of you. How are you going to go after it?" And not letting me settle. And then by surrounding myself with the people who believed more in me than I believed in myself, I actually began to believe it for myself. Does that make sense? Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it was kind of I needed these outside voices to drown out the old messages that I had been raised to believe, that I had been taught, that I had just chosen, that I chose to hold on
Mhm.
to and cling to, having these strong men and women around me who I looked at their lives and I said, I want to be like them. I want to be like this person. And like, I remember meeting you and going, who's this guy? Like, who is very quiet and like pays attention and asks questions when people want him to give them an answer. Like that was the biggest thing that stuck out to me when I met you, is people were asking you questions and you wouldn't answer them. You would like ask a question back. And I remember thinking like, I want to be like this guy. Like, how do I have what he has? And then like, I just started like blowing up your DMs and being like, hey, love this, love that. Like, tell me about this, tell me about that. And I do that with other people that they have the kind of lives that I want to live. I am putting myself around those people. And now I have rewritten those old tapes and those old messages in my head, and I did some really hard work in August when I did that Joe Kelly program. I took a good hard look at what I believed about myself, why I believed it, and I realized most of it was crap. Like, it wasn't true. That's not who I am. None of it was who I was. And so I looked at the lies and I said, okay, these are lies. We're going to throw them in the trash. So now what is true? And I started looking at what was true about me. Where are my passions? Where are my giftings? And then I started doing things to pursue them. And I did it afraid. That was the biggest like key for me. And I know we've talked about that a lot, is that I will have these moments of intense fear, super intense fear. And old Jenifer was taught, you feel the fear, you run away or you hide. New Jenifer is like, oh, I am terrified. Okay, let's go do this sucker. Like, whatever it is, we're going to do it. That's really cool too, is that people are noticing. Like, I don't just notice anymore. Last night when I was out with friends, I was hanging out with someone. I hadn't seen him in a while. And at the end of the night, he was like, who are you? I've known this guy for almost 2 years. And he was like, where's the old Jenifer? His words, not mine. He was like, where's old Jenifer? I was like, not here. And he's like, you broke the mold. He said, I didn't say that. He's like, you didn't just break it, you like smashed it. And I don't know who you are anymore. I like who you are. She's sassy and she's funny. Kind of miss the old quiet like girl, but like, who is this person? And I was like, she's like the old girl's never coming back, so you better get used to this new girl. It's so great because for so long, like with COVID and all the like lockdown, I was doing all this work, like I felt like in a bubble. And so when things in Arizona started opening up, I was like, how do I live this out loud? And it's happening. Like, I'm just being myself. I'm crying right now. Like, I'm just so happy. Like, all the emotions. Like, I'm just who I am. And it started with surrounding myself with people who were doing what I wanted to do. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, and much more. And those of you who are listening, if you have any questions for Jenifer, feel free to drop quick questions about Jenifer's journey and with her health in the space here. But in terms of surrounding yourself with people, I mean, that's such a huge part of it. And I do the same thing. I've surrounded myself with people that I look up to, or that I want to learn from, or be more like, or have them rub off on me. And those people that I hang out with, or that I get coaching from, or that I learn from, they do the same thing with other people. Like, this is how healthy society works. Is that older people or more experienced people in one area, share and teach and coach and guide other people who want to learn, and that's how it gets paid forward.
Absolutely.
And people who don't have that awareness or that opportunity, they just operate by default. They just operate on habit.
Right.
And who you were is not it was not your identity. It wasn't who you really, wasn't your real you.
No.
It was just who you were in the habit of being. And that habitual self wasn't serving you so poorly that it got to the place where you're like, I can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
And there's so many signals coming back to me that are uncomfortable and painful and negative that I know I need to change. So tell me, when you made that decision to change, what was that journey like for you, with working through, with just in general, working with coaches, working with with me with this health program,
Yeah.
right? What was that process like for you?
Yeah.
Just in brief, of going from, okay, I'm going to do this. Let's walk this journey out
Yeah.
to where you are now.
I asked a lot of questions. I ask what I like to call an annoying amount of questions. Because if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it 110%. I am not a half-baked kind of person. I know that about myself. Even like the swim today, I hit 104% and I was like, yes, I got an extra 4% in. Super overachiever here. So I asked lots of questions, because I had to believe that this was possible, that what I was going to try was going to work. And or even believe that, believe enough in myself that like I'm gonna just give it a shot, but I'm not gonna give something a shot unless my questions are answered to a certain level, because I think that for me that goes back to the just doing what everybody else tells you to do, which is the way I was raised. Somebody tells you to do something, you say yes and do it, and I knew that wasn't working for me. Turning off my brain and just letting other people dictate my life wasn't working. So I knew, okay, here's where I'm at. I can't do this anymore. I got to do something different. Let me also be different by asking questions for myself until I get enough answers that I'm comfortable to do it. And there comes a point, I know this happened when we talked about the program, like there came a point where I was like, okay, he's answered every single question and now I'm just afraid. Like, I'm choosing not to do, I keep putting Josh off, not because he hasn't answered my questions, but because I'm literally terrified. And then I had to go back to okay, do it afraid. I told myself, I'm going to try this for a month. And I had every excuse in the book. You know that. Like, I have a gluten allergy. I'm allergic to corn, technically. Like, so many foods. Like, I had every reason not to do this. I was tired. I thought maybe I needed a doctor. All the things. It's not a good time financially. Every single like, if you think you have all the reasons not to take care of yourself, I have more. Like, right. Every single one. And I got to the point where I was like, you know what? Do I love myself enough to give this a shot? To just say, I'm going to try something. If it works, great. If it doesn't, good for me for trying something hard that I was afraid of. Like, well done, Jenifer. Which is also new for me. Like, that self-love talk and saying, like, I'm proud of myself for trying something when I'm afraid. Because not everything is going to work that I do. But do I love myself enough to say, I'm worth trying that, whether it works out or not? Because I see something over there that I want, and this might be the path to get there. So let me try this path. If it's not, we're going to readjust. That's okay. But sometimes you just got to do it afraid. Not sometimes, more often than not. You just have to do it afraid. Yeah.
And that's like a great, I mean, that's you kind of answered my other question, what was gonna be, which is, you had all of these questions about this particular health program and doing health coaching with me, and you were, filtering through all of your reservations and like, okay, let me make sure I'm making a good decision here, which is great.
Yeah.
But you had the self-awareness to realize that after you had done your due diligence to say, okay, let me get some clarity here. You still didn't want to do it. Yeah. And you recognized, you know what? I am afraid of, what are you afraid of? Do you know what you're afraid of?
Failure.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, going back to the old messages, failure was not an option growing up. And if I did fail, it was nobody was supposed to know about it. Like, you hide it. And I don't want to live that way. Like, that's why Instagram is Authentically Jenifer. I want to live an authentic lifestyle. And so I knew if I was going to do something, I had to be willing to fail at it. Because I'm worth failing at things. I'm worth trying something and failing and saying, oh, okay, that didn't work for me. All right, let's go find something else that does, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's what it came down to. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to try something that I knew was going to be hella hard, because it was hard those first few weeks. It was so hard. I didn't want to try it and fail. And that, because for me, again, people pleasing, I was feeling like I'm going to fail Josh. I'm going to fail my friends who are cheering me on. It almost became more about other people. I had to bring it back to myself and say, okay, I'm afraid of also failing myself. And you know what? Trying something new, fighting for your health, fighting for your well-being, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually, that's worth failing sometimes.
Yeah. And did you make mistakes or get off track or fall down sometimes?
So 2 weeks ago, I texted you and I was like, real life, I just ate a tub of ice cream. Granted, I shared it with 4 kids. But I got off track. I allowed my brain to turn off. I allowed myself to emotionally soothe with food, and I was miserable afterward for like a week and a half. It was awful. But I said, oh, okay, I made a mistake. I consciously made a mistake. That's the other thing, is that I knew what I was doing. Before, like back in August, I wouldn't have known. Eating that bag of cookies I was telling you about, I didn't know what I was doing.
Think about it.
I wasn't even thinking. No, I literally picked up the bag of cookies, sat on the couch, because I was in pain, and cookies made me feel better. Like, momentarily, which is why I ate the whole box. Like, when I ate the ice cream 3 weeks ago, I knew what I was doing. And it was conscious. And I'm not doing this perfectly. That's the other thing, is that, again, old habits, perfectionism, wallowing in shame and guilt. Like, I hear the old voices. How could you do that? You know better. Like, all the things. And now I'm just like, you know what? No, I made a choice. Now I have to deal with the consequences of that choice, which is a week and a half of feeling bloated and, going up on the scale, which, again, not living by that number at all. But, like, I know what I'm doing. And when I make a mistake, I can say, okay, I made a mistake. I can reach out and say, I made a mistake. Can you help me get back on track? Asking for that help and then doing it. Because I know who I am. I know where I want to go with my life. I know what works for me. I know what aligns. Claudia is saying it right now. Grace. Like, I have grace for myself. I never had grace for myself before. And now it's like, okay. And I get back on track. And I'm not ruined. I think you had to remind me that when I sent you about the ice cream. You're like, you're not ruined. Like, we're going to get you back on track. And you did. And I'm back on track now. And I feel great and amazing. And I keep moving forward. And I will probably make mistakes in the future. But
of course.
I know I will. Yeah. But they will be, some of them will be conscious. Where I will choose to do this. Some of them, it'll be like, oops, like, I didn't realize that was a bad idea. Okay, now I know. We adjust. So life is about learning. And you can't do it perfectly the first time, or even the second or the third. You just have to keep moving forward, move through the fear, move through and learn and grow and chase what you're going after. And know that you're not going to do it perfectly.
Exactly. But if you don't quit, it's not failure. And that's the distinction, is that most people quit.
Yes.
Right? Everyone falls down and makes mistakes, but a lot of people quit.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Gonna jump on a few comments here if I can. I noticed Rachel said, what did Rachel say? No, Millie said, she doesn't just dance, she dances.
Cammie, I love you, girl. It's true. It really, and that's the other thing is like, I can own it and be like, old Jenifer would be like, no, it's fine. Like, I'm not that good. Like, but like now I'm like, no, I am a good dancer. And I'm so good. People who are better than me are saying like, hey, want to dance? And I'm like, oh, yeah, with you? Absolutely. Never danced with you before, but I'll dance with these people I've never danced with before, Josh. And I like kill it. And they will end the dance and they'll be like, how did you do that? And I was like, I have no idea what we just did. Like, but that was fun. Thank you for helping me do something new. Like, it was great. Because the confidence, who I am, and I've told you this so many times, who I am on the inside, this confident, passionate warrior woman is showing on the outside and people are noticing. And that's attractive.
So, it's, you know, there's an element of that is coming from you and just who you are and who you decided to be, right, in the course of your life overall. But talk to me a little bit about how, and we're going to answer some of your guys' questions in just a second here, but talk to me a little bit about how having the coaching, the accountability, the oversight, the support, the check-ins, the program, the guide, right, to learn some new mindsets, learn some tools, to have that structure in your life, to create a path for you to have these health changes. Like, how did that help you in your journey?
You aren't made to do this life alone. I know that's kind of like a cultural mindset. Like, I can do it on my own. I got this. You can't. Like, I can't do it alone. I wasn't made to do it alone. I need accountability as a person because of the mindset, the former mindset that I had, because of getting stuck inside my own head. I need those outside voices. I need those outside journaling every day, even just that 5 minutes a day. I need that to help keep me on the path that I want to go on. It keeps me accountable. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. It like it's easy to get some facts about this is what you should be doing, but it's nothing to actually do it consistently and to go the distance, right?
Exactly.
So some questions here. Rachel said you're queen.
Thanks,
Agreed.
girl. Love you.
Francis asked, how did you go from fog and fatigue to more energy?
Oh, that's a really good question. The biggest.
I'll tell you. I mean, the basics is that you start to take away the things that you're consuming in your life, primarily biologically, but also mentally, and you start to put in the things that you're missing, like that you need. And so when you start to support your body with the correct nutrition, first and foremost, and to remove the incorrect nutrition out of the equation more consistently, your body has the resources it needs to start to repair, and it has less of the toxins and the oxidation on your body, tolls, the stressors on your body that are causing it to break down. And our body's always trying to fix itself and repair, and there's always things coming that are breaking it down and destroying it. And when the things that are coming that are destroying you or damaging you are greater than the things you're doing to repair, then your body starts to decay and fall apart, right? And we feel pain, and we feel these bad symptoms, and we start to look worse, and we start to feel worse. So it's about getting the equation balanced, not to remove everything because that's impossible in the world. There's always stressors and toxins in this world, but to get the good that we're inputting in to be greater than and to reduce the bad, right? It's both.
Absolutely.
When we do that consistently, then our body starts to heal itself. And it doesn't matter what your diagnoses are, what your symptoms are. Fundamentally, when you fix that equation, then your body starts to repair itself.
Absolutely. Thank you, because I was like, my brain was like, wait, what? What's the answer? Before starting the program with you, people thought I was a healthy eater. I mean, I'm gluten-free. I don't eat corn. I eat healthy. Again, nobody saw the gluten-free cookies I was downing. But it was more than just about, does the label say non-GMO or organic or whatever. It was about what I'm eating, the micronutrients, the macronutrients, like all the different things, and learning to balance that. And really actually say what is good, and get somebody, in this case you, who knows more about nutrition than I do. I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I was eating relatively healthy, cookies aside, finding somebody who knows more than I do, and listening to them and saying, oh, I had no idea being healthy was more than just, oh, it's organic, because it is. And it's choosing what to eat, not just what to eat, but when to eat. My sugar doesn't crash anymore, unless I accidentally forget,
Yeah.
Again, grace. But that has also helped with the fatigue, and the pain, is eating consistently. And what I'm eating, knowing what I'm eating, and that it's good for my body. And now I crave those things. I freaking love salad. 6 months ago, salad was disgusting. Now I will make a huge bowl of salad with chicken and all the things. And I freaking love it. I crave it. My best friend is I'll go to her house. She makes amazing salad. And I'll say can you make me a salad? Because nobody makes salad like she does. And she'll make it and be like, is that enough? I'm like, no, I need double what you just made me. And she's like, what? This is the girl who we lived in Africa together. And I was like, teach me how to make bread, and all the things, all the starchy things. And now, now that I've learned what to eat and when, my body is able to function properly. And I'm not as tired, and I'm not in pain. And I crave those things. I can hear my body saying, I need a salad.
Yeah.
I need some celery and peanut butter.
And the thing that I want to stress to people is, this is so great because you're so passionate and you're so invigorated with it, and it's so alive and real for you, and it's great. Everything's great, and it wasn't that way before. Not 10 years ago, 6 months ago. I love what you say. 6 months ago, this wasn't me. And the thing that I want to stress to people, all of you who are watching, listening, is when you say, I'm not a salad person, for example, you are lying to yourself. That you're trying to take a preference of habit, right?
Yes.
As your identity, and it's not your identity. No. It's a choice, right? And it's a choice of habit. Yeah. And when you change your habits, who you are in that context changes, and you become a different kind of person. You're not a salad person because you're not in the habit of eating salad, and you don't like to eat salad because you're not used to it, right?
No.
But it's amazing how quickly when you get your body fixed.
Yeah.
And the point of this thing is not just eat more salad. I mean,
no,
it's more
no,
complicated than that.
No, yeah.
But
don't do
but
that.
We're just saying, for example, to take the salad example, if you start to work on your mindset and your habits so that you shift into becoming more the person that you need to be the way that you want to be, then your desires, your tastes, your habits, your preferences, your instincts even will change.
Yes.
And so when you start to take your unhealthy mindset and habits and status, right, and preferences to define who you are and what you can do, it's like someone on a crutch being like, oh no, don't work on my leg because it's broken, so I don't want you to touch my leg. It's like, well, do you want to have the leg continue to be broken, or do you want us to fix it?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just a food thing either. It's in everything. I'm at a place where I'm like, oh, you know what? This job I'm in, it's not working for me. Time to get a new one. That's absolutely terrifying. I've been doing my job for 3 years. I'm really good at my job, but it doesn't work for me. It doesn't align with the like we talk about, the new Jenifer, where I'm going, what I'm doing. So let me do something different, because my job doesn't define me. What I eat doesn't define me. I'm who I am is outside of all of that. But what I put into my body, what I am doing for my work, feeds me as a person. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
it's choosing what is in alignment with who I am and where I want to go in my life. And now I'm moving towards that, not just with my food, but with everything.
Yeah. So to answer your question, if you want to know how, reach out to me or
Yes.
message Jenifer if you're her friend.
Yeah.
Ask us. We're happy to tell you more about how to do this actually tactically, how to get started and make it happen for you. eStudio said, let's do a photo shoot. If you're still on, shoot me a message. We can talk about photo shoots. That's not the topic for today, though. Claudia says, you're amazing and inspiring. So
Love you,
extremely
girl.
proud of you. Bennett says, truly amazing.
Thanks,
Alicia,
bro.
so awesome. 2 Timothy 1:7. What else? What else? What other questions do we have here? Grace girl. You got a lot of supportive people here. Paige, how do you get rid of those holding you back? Great question, Paige.
Oh, so that's a hard one. We're talking about like people?
Yeah, people holding you back. You know what you need to do, right? You need to go on this new track.
Yeah.
How do you get past those people holding you back?
This is hard. You just gotta say, this relationship doesn't work for me anymore. Bye. Like you just, and that, again, people pleaser here, and not just a people pleaser. I am what is known as an extreme extrovert. I freaking love people. I love getting to know people. I love pouring into people. Like that's just part of my personality. If those people are not aligning with who you are and where you want, or not just who you are, but where you want to be in your life, they do not get to take up space in your life. There is space in this world for you and what you want out of life and where you're going. If someone is not aligning with that, they don't get to take up space in your life. They have their own space. It's over there, not in your circle. You can be, and you can do that and be kind and gracious. You don't have to go and be like, sorry, like we're not friends. Like, don't do that. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying like, fill your time and your space with the people who are going in the direction you want to go and align with where you want to be in life down the road and where you want to be even now, because it starts now. As you fill your life with those people, there won't be space for these other people. You won't have time for them. And that's okay. That's totally okay. Because who you are and what you want out of life and where you want to be down the road, that is worth it. That is worth saying, this works for me and this doesn't. This relationship works for me and this one doesn't.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
And I would say also, Paige, like, yeah, to summarize that, choose to be around the people that aren't holding you back. Choose to be around the people that are going to push you forward.
Absolutely.
If the people that because you grew up with them and you're just used to having in your life and they're old friends are constantly being negative or saying, oh, don't change, or that's a waste of time, or, just forget it.
Yeah.
Then separate yourselves from those people. And you have to, if you want to change, you have to be willing to change the people around you, because the people you spend the most time with, those are the people who are going to define who you are.
Exactly.
And if it's somebody that's like a family relationship, like your parents, that you can't just cut out of your life, or it doesn't feel right to you, then you set boundaries and say, you know what, I'm going on this journey, right? I'm choosing to get healthier. I'm choosing to change who I am, and I'm not interested in your criticism of that, and we can't talk about that.
Yeah, and there's space for you to say that.
Yeah.
I had to do that with family. I had to say, this is my boundary. And they get to choose. They get to choose if they stick to the boundary or not. They stick to the boundary, great. We can have a relationship based on these boundaries I've set up. They choose to try and break those boundaries, hop the fence, whatever. Then the wall, then it's like, okay, I'm going to move myself over here. You made your choice to ignore the boundary that I've set to take care of myself, because I am worth taking care of. Me, I'm worth it. And that's their decision. Sometimes the other person is going to make the decision to walk away from the relationship based on choosing not to respect your boundaries. That's not on you. That's on them.
Yeah.
That's for
And
another
you have,
topic, though.
and you need to believe that you're worthy enough,
Yes.
that you're going to have love from people, that you don't have to cling to these people who are being toxic and negative, and that you're not going to have any love if you let them go, because that's a lie.
Exactly.
There are people out there who will love you and support you, and the new you, the better you, right?
Yeah.
And you've got to go find them.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
don't get stuck in the past.
You won't even miss the other people. I guarantee it.
Right.
I don't miss the people that are no longer in my life because I'm surrounded by these amazing cheerleaders who we mutually cheer each other on. I don't even remember, like, I couldn't even tell you some of the people that aren't in my life anymore because it doesn't matter. And they probably don't even remember either. It's fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Jordan Haverkamp says, hi. Hey, Jordan. Thanks for joining. Claudia says, your dancing is inspiration. Look at that. Just inspiring people left and right.
Salads are my jam.
So,
yes, girl.
Francis says, when you change your habits, who you are changes. Very good. You're getting it, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Or I said, man, it's a woman.
Oops.
Sorry, Francis. Yes, very good. What else? My screen is so tiny I can barely see these comments. It's so hard when you're doing two people at once. Welcome, Jack. Awesome job at changing things that you have control over. Congrats, Jenifer. Paige says yes. Hope that was helpful, Paige.
Yeah.
Divorce kindly and graciously. There you go. Boundaries. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
Having boundaries doesn't mean you don't love them. Growing the love that you have for yourself and going in a direction that makes you better than you were before.
You can love someone by releasing them to go a different direction.
Absolutely. We're going to wrap up here in a second. But I think someone asked, what would you do differently? And if you have something that you want to say do differently, or maybe what you wish you would have done differently before you started on this leg of your journey. But what I would ask you is, more specifically, what would you tell yourself a year ago before you went on this transformational path of intentional change and throwing away the old you definition and putting on the new definition? What would you tell yourself back then if you could go back in time a year ago and be like, Jenifer, I got some things to tell you. What's the thing or the three things?
Straight up, girl, do it afraid. Like, I promise you, the most delicious things are on the other side of fear. The most exciting things are on the other side of fear. That is, we talk about some of the other coaching you and I have done is like the stickiness of it and like wading through the stickiness. Stickiness is awesome. Like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'm really afraid. But like, if you move into that feeling and you don't move just into it, you move through it. I would just tell myself, I know you're not going to believe me. You need to do it anyways. Like, if you're afraid, if you're fighting it, keep walking. Like, on the other side of that is stuff you can't even fathom. So just do it. Do it afraid.
Good.
That's my biggest thing.
That's great. Do it afraid. I love it. Any other things in terms of to just bring it in really tactically? I know with us, we had a conversation about like all of your reservations and hesitations, right? Is there anything that you would tell yourself about that choice, about doing, trying this health program, doing health coaching at all, like inviting someone else into your life, right? That's kind of a sensitive area.
Yeah, I mean,
anything you would talk to yourself about that in terms of the tactical stuff of your reservations?
This is going to be a little different probably than somebody else might say, but I would tell myself, I'm proud of you for being honest with Josh. Like, you were one of the first people I told some pretty, like, for me, health issues that honestly, like, maybe like 5 people in this world know about. And opening up to you and telling you are, and you were in that moment, a safe person that I could say, here's one of the reasons I'm afraid to do this. So I think, like, with health coaching, you just got to be honest with where you're at. Like, it's got to be someone who you trust, again, who is going in the direction you want to go, but don't lie, and don't try to sugarcoat. Just be real and honest and raw about, this is where I am. And I think doing it earlier, because we had already by that point had a couple of different conversations, but it was when I was really honest with you and opened up and said, this is actually where I'm at right now, that's when the change started happening. Where I saw, oh, Josh just created space for me to say, like, this is real life, and I'm scared, and I don't know what to do. And you just created this space for me and let me be what I was and say, okay, so this is where you're at now. Where do you want to go? And let's make a plan. Let me walk beside you. I wish, I don't want to say I wish, because life is what it was. And I made the decisions I made. But if I could have made them earlier, like, who knows where I'd be today? Like, you know? And again, like, I say that coming from a place of, I have no regrets, but also, if I could go back and do it again, I would have started earlier.
Sure. We all wish we would start.
Does that answer the question? Earlier.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's interesting, you know, you said about someone you trust, and that's important. But it's not like we had this personal friendship where, like, you know, we really knew each other. You knew that there was trust there because of the limited interactions you had. Like, there was an atmosphere that was trustworthy in what you were letting, what you were seeing, right? And it also took courage to say, you know, I haven't, you know, known this person a long time or spent a ton of time with them, but I'm going to take the step to say, you know, my instinct is that there are trustworthy. What I've seen is trustworthy, and so I'm going to take the courageous step of saying, I'm going to entrust something to you and see what you do with it.
And that came from watching you. That sounds so creepy, but like,
we're in a public space. This is a public space,
right? Well, we met in California. I think we've been physically in each other's presence twice, maybe 3 times. But like, those moments, I was watching you and going, like, this guy is different from the other people, and I had turned my brain on, like, and again, going back to the thinking for myself, you presented an opportunity. Old Jenifer would have been like, well, Josh is awesome, I'm just going to do what Josh says. But I actually, like, I hit you with some hard questions. And I asked for space, and I asked for what I needed, which I had never done before, let's be honest. And I was testing you because I didn't know you. And so I asked my questions. I asked for what I needed. And the way you responded told me, this guy is worthy of trust. Even though I don't know him very well or at all, really, he's worthy of trust. And now I have an awesome friend out of it.